New 72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
Good evening, this is Mary Berger and welcome to a special edition of Waking the Spirit. I have not done one of these shows in probably about 6 weeks, and I had basically taken a little time off from Waking the Spirit because I was concentrating on my other radio program, which is called Diva Talk, which focuses on technology. So I found that it's kind of hard to do both at the same time. So I decided to kind of put Waking the Spirit on hold and bring it back now and then when the urge hits me, when the spirit calls out to me, and that would be tonight. So I have been on vacation for the past 6 days. I left my home in Vancouver, Washington on Saturday in my car, and I started the trek down to Southern California to attend my dad's memorial service, which actually was on Tuesday. So I made the mistake of spending 12 hours in the car the very first day and was kind of almost immobile the entire evening. My back was killing me. The next day it was 4.5 hours until I got to my sister's house in Southern California, so it was a much better day. I had a couple of days of downtime, maybe about a day and a half of downtime. 4th of July was great, spent it with my brother and his family, and we had a wonderful day, and Tuesday was the memorial service. So as you can imagine, when you get families together, and my family is a blended family, so I had my little brother was there with his family, and my stepbrother was there, and I have not seen my stepbrother probably since I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. So it was good to see him, and my stepsister was there, and I had just seen her last year. And then my half-sister was there, and I saw her last year as well. So nieces and nephews. I spent time with an aunt and uncle, had breakfast with them on Wednesday, and but like I said, as you can imagine, spending concentrated time with all sorts of different family members that you haven't seen in a long time, it depleted my energy. It really depleted my energy, and I had a fabulous time. It was a great trip. It still is a great trip. I'm still on the trip, but and the other thing that happened was, I grew up in Southern California. I was raised there. I spent the first 40 years of my life there, and Southern California is not the place for me. Even though I lived there for 40 years, I did not know it wasn't the place for me until I left. And it wasn't until I left there and moved to Vancouver, Washington, which was 15 years ago. In fact, it was 15 years ago yesterday that I actually bought my house in Vancouver. So happy anniversary to me and my house. So anyway, I didn't realize until I'd moved to Vancouver, Washington, that Southern California in general, is just not the place for me. It zaps my energy. It tends to, just bring me down, and so it was kind of trying. And Central California especially, because right now they're in a horrible drought, as is pretty much all of California, but Central California, which used to raise most of the vegetables for the United States, it's dry and it's dusty and it's oppressive and it's depressing, and it's calling out for water. It's really calling out for water, and it was very difficult to drive through that part of California. Did not like it at all. So anyway, so a friend suggested to me that I take a day or two on the end part of my trip and do something for me, do something that will restore my energy levels, something that will fill my soul spiritually, and something that will just bring me back to where I need to be. And whether that be, going to a special place, doing something special, but just taking time for me, and just kind of, filling up my reserves, and making sure that my energy levels get raised back up to where they need to be. So that's what I did. I left Southern California yesterday about 12:30, and drove to Central California, where I spent the night with family. And today I left there, and I had done some research last night on what I wanted to do, and I picked a place in Shasta that I wanted to visit, because I've always wanted to visit and explore Mount Shasta a little bit more than I've ever had the time to do. So I decided this time I'm going to take the time to do that. So in my research, I found a place in Shasta City, and it's basically the headwaters for the Sacramento River. So the headwaters for the Sacramento River, it's actually in a park. They built a park around this place. It's a natural spring where there's a bunch of rocks in the side of the hill, and out of those rocks there's a natural spring that bubbles out, and it flows down into a big wading pool type area. Not really big. And then so it kind of pools there, and then it goes down a little waterfall over some rocks, and that's the beginning of the Sacramento River. And it is said that the angels make frequent appearances there, and a lot of healings take place there. So I thought, well, that's a great place to go. So I went, I filled up a bunch of my empty water bottles with spring water. So this is spring water from the headwaters of the Sacramento River. This is natural spring water. And it's delicious. I've already drank a few bottles of this, so I'm saving this for later on tonight. And it really was a special place. It was pretty crowded there at the headwaters. There were tons of people filling up their water bottles, not only this size, but big 3 and 5 gallon jugs. I have a feeling that the residents of the town probably get their drinking water from there, which is awesome. I wish I had something like that close to me. Maybe I do, and I don't know it. But at any rate, so people were filling their water bottles. So I filled mine, and I decided, okay, I need to find a place downriver that's a little quiet, where I can just kind of hang out and talk to the angels and see if they'll talk back to me. So I did. I kind of walked down the path along the river, and I found a bench underneath a shade tree that was right in front of the water. So I sat down at the bench, and I just took several deep breaths, and I kind of went into meditation. I just cleared my mind, closed my eyes, listened to the water flowing down the river, and it was pretty amazing. I totally cleared my head. There was nothing in my head. And pretty soon, probably after about 10 minutes, Mother Mary rose out of the water on the river right in front of me, and she kind of walked up to me, and she leaned down, and she told me that she said you are loved and protected, which was pretty awesome for me to have that experience. And it's not like I opened my eyes and I saw her rise out of the river. It was all in my meditation, but I knew that was what was truly happening. And so then she went away, and I sat there still with my eyes closed, still in kind of a meditative state. And after a couple of minutes, I realized that there were dozens of angels just kind of floating above the water, and looking at me, and sending me their healing energy and their love. And it was an amazing experience. It just totally filled my soul, and it's exactly what I needed to end my trip. Even though I'm still on my trip, but you know what I'm talking about. So it really filled my soul. It brought my energy levels back up, and it was an amazing experience. So when I left there, I went to downtown Shasta, in Shasta City. There's a main street, and there's this really cool metaphysical store there called Soul Connections. And I went there and kind of looked around, and I knew that I'd be staying in a hotel tonight, so I wanted to get a smudge stick, so I got a smudge stick. And I actually picked up a deck of oracle cards, one that I had not had. Let's see if I could put this on here. The Ascended Masters. So I thought, okay, this one was really calling out to me. I don't have this one, so I picked it up. And when I got into my hotel room tonight, I lit the sage stick and I saged the room, and then I did the same thing with the oracle deck. And so I sat down and I decided, okay, I'm just going to pull a card and I'm going to ask the angels, what message do you want me to know about my trip or about my experience at the headwaters of the Sacramento River today with all the angels? And it was really interesting. I think it was the perfect card. It was open your heart to love, and it was Jesus, which was really, really cool. So I'll read the description of the card to you. And I think it's really interesting that I pulled this card because of the trip I had, and because of all the different people that I saw while I was on this trip, and you know, the little bit of tension that I felt the day of my dad's service, and tension and frustration. And so this card is basically telling me to just open your heart to your loved ones, your family, and just be love. Just be love. And that's the best way to handle any situation. Just handle it with love. So the description of the card, open your heart to love. Everything you desire and every prayer that you seek comes as a result of opening your heart to both sending and receiving love. Your heart is the gateway of receptivity. It is the answer to every question you have about your love life, relationships, health, life purpose, and so forth. The more you allow yourself to love, the greater depth and meaning your life holds. Jesus and the other ascended masters will support you in this endeavor, ensuring that you're protected and safe as you open your heart to love. Additional meanings for this card: to manifest a soulmate relationship, heal any fears about giving or receiving love. Forgive those who seem to have hurt you. Yeah, that's kind of what I was feeling the other day over my dad's service. Be loving with yourself, do energy work to open your heart chakra. Jesus' message of love and forgiveness was profound and led to many demonstrations of miraculous healings. Jesus helps anyone who calls upon him, regardless of the person's religious or spiritual beliefs. Call upon Jesus for help with healing yourself or others emotionally, physically, or mentally. So that was pretty amazing that I pulled this card. It was the perfect card for the experiences I've had on this trip so far. These decks really do work. So anyway, I left Shasta, and my plan was to drive into Ashland, Oregon, which was a little over an hour away from where I was. And I pulled into Ashland, and I pulled into a parking lot, and I got on my iPad, got on the internet, and was looking for a hotel room, because by then it was late afternoon and I knew I didn't want to take another 5.5-hour drive to get back home. So I was going to spend the night, and Ashland was the perfect place. Unfortunately, it's summer, it's Shakespeare play season, and there were no reasonably affordable rooms to be found in Ashland. So I went 10 miles up the road to Medford, Oregon. And I'm in this beautiful hotel room, and I'm going to relax, enjoy the evening, and just be really grateful for the fact that I took time for myself today, and it really raised my energy levels, raised my vibrations, and it was the best thing I could have done. So I just wanted to share that with you. If any of you are going through similar experiences or need to do something for yourself, just do it, because you won't be sorry. So that's all for now. I will say goodbye, and the next time the spirit moves me, I will do another Waking the Spirit. Until then, thanks everyone. Have a great evening.